In a development that has sparked widespread discussion among Nigerians, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu reportedly initiated a large-scale rice distribution program across all 26 local government areas of Oyo State. The initiative, according to organizers and supporters, was designed to help reduce the burden many families are currently facing due to the rising cost of living and increasing food prices across the country. Over the past year, Nigeria has experienced significant economic pressure. The prices of basic commodities such as rice, garri, beans, and cooking oil have increased sharply, making it difficult for many households to afford daily meals. In markets across Oyo State, traders and buyers alike have repeatedly complained about how inflation has affected their ability to sustain their businesses and families. For many residents, food security has become a serious concern. It was within this challenging economic atmosphere that the Rice Distribution Initiative was announced. According to reports from political coordinators and community leaders, trucks carrying hundreds of bags of rice were sent to different parts of the state. The goal was to ensure that every one of the 26 local government areas received a share of the relief supplies. Early in the morning on the day of distribution, residents gathered at designated collection points across the state. Community halls, school compounds, and local government offices served as distribution centers where volunteers and officials coordinated the exercise. In many communities, the arrival of the rice brought excitement and relief. Some residents had been struggling to provide consistent meals for their families, and the support came at a time when many felt overwhelmed by economic hardship. Women, elderly citizens, and low-income households were given priority in several locations to ensure that the most vulnerable members of the community benefited from the program. Local leaders and coordinators played an important role in organizing the distribution process. They worked alongside volunteers and political representatives to manage crowds and ensure the rice was shared fairly. In some areas, lists of beneficiaries had been prepared ahead of time to prevent chaos and maintain order during the exercise. Many residents expressed gratitude for the initiative. Some said that even a single bag of rice could help feed a family for several weeks, especially when carefully managed. For families with several children, the assistance was seen as a temporary but meaningful relief. However, while many people appreciated the gesture, others used the moment to discuss the broader economic challenges facing the country. Some residents pointed out that while food distribution programs provide short-term support, they do not address the root causes of rising prices and financial hardship. Still, supporters of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu argued that the initiative was part of a broader strategy to cushion the impact of ongoing economic reforms. They explained that the government is working on policies aimed at stabilizing the economy, increasing domestic production, and improving the availability of essential goods. The rice distribution across Oyo State was therefore presented as both a humanitarian gesture and a demonstration of the administration's willingness to respond to citizens' immediate needs. Organizers said the program was intended to remind Nigerians that the government is aware of their struggles and is taking steps to provide relief. Across several communities, the event also turned into a moment of political discussion. Residents gathered in groups to talk about the current state of the nation's economy, sharing their hopes and concerns about the future. Some people praised the government's efforts, while others remained cautious, saying that long-term economic improvements were what Nigerians truly needed. Despite these differing opinions, the rice distribution exercise created a strong sense of attention across the state. Social media platforms were soon filled with photos and videos showing residents collecting their bags of rice and volunteers organizing the process. The initiative also sparked conversations beyond Oyo State. Citizens in other parts of the country began asking whether similar relief programs would reach their communities as well. For many Nigerians, the distribution symbolized the ongoing relationship between government policies and the daily lives of ordinary citizens. It highlighted how economic decisions made at the national level can directly affect households struggling to meet their basic needs. As the exercise continued across all 26 local government areas, attention gradually shifted to the statements that accompanied the initiative. During discussions surrounding the distribution, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu reportedly made promises about major economic improvements, including a significant reduction in fuel prices and a stronger Nigerian currency. Those announcements would soon become the center of national conversation, raising hopes, questions, and debates among Nigerians eager to see real economic change. As conversations continued around the rice distribution across the 26 local government areas of Oyo State, attention quickly shifted to another major statement reportedly made by Nigeria's president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. According to political supporters and organizers present during the event, the president made a bold promise that the price of petrol in Nigeria could eventually drop to 350 Nigerian nairas per litre. For millions of Nigerians, the price of fuel has become one of the most sensitive economic issues in recent years. Petrol affects almost every aspect of daily life, from transportation to food prices, electricity generation, and the cost of running businesses. When fuel prices rise, the effects ripple across the entire economy. Since the removal of fuel subsidies, petrol prices in Nigeria have experienced significant increases. Transport fares doubled in many cities, food prices surged in markets, and small business owners found it more expensive to run generators or transport goods. It was within this difficult economic environment that the president's promise began to generate attention and debate across the country. During the discussions surrounding the relief efforts in Oyo State, supporters of the administration said the government is working toward long-term economic reforms that could eventually make petrol more affordable. According to them, the goal of reducing the price of fuel to 350 Nigerian nairas per litre is part of a broader plan to stabilize Nigeria's energy sector. For ordinary Nigerians, the possibility of fuel selling at 350 Nigerian nairas once again sounded almost unbelievable. Commercial drivers, who rely heavily on petrol to operate their vehicles, were among the most interested in the promise. Across motor parks and bus stations, drivers discussed what such a reduction would mean for their businesses. Many said that if fuel prices truly dropped to 350 Nigerian nairas, transportation costs could fall dramatically, allowing them to charge passengers less while still making a profit. Passengers also expressed hope that lower petrol prices could ease the financial pressure many households face daily. For workers who commute long distances to their jobs, transportation costs have become a major part of their monthly expenses. Market traders were equally interested in the announcement. Many explained that fuel prices directly affect the cost of transporting food from farms to markets. When transportation costs rise, traders are forced to increase the prices of goods to avoid losses. Because of this, many Nigerians believe that cheaper fuel could help stabilize food prices and reduce the cost of living. Supporters of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu say the administration's economic reforms are aimed at creating the conditions necessary for such a price reduction to happen. One of the key factors they point to is the effort to strengthen Nigeria's local refining capacity. For decades, Nigeria has depended heavily on imported refined petroleum products despite being one of Africa's largest crude oil producers. This dependence has exposed the country to fluctuations in global markets and foreign exchange challenges. However, supporters of the administration argue that increasing domestic refining capacity could significantly reduce the cost of petrol production within Nigeria. When fuel is refined locally, the country spends less foreign currency importing petrol from other nations. They also emphasize that improved management of the oil sector, increased production levels, and stronger economic policies could gradually create a more stable market. Despite these arguments, the promise of 350 Nigerian nairas fuel has also sparked skepticism among some economists and analysts. Experts point out that petrol prices are influenced by several complex factors, including global crude oil prices, exchange rates, refining costs, and distribution expenses. If the Nigerian naira weakens against the US dollar, the cost of importing fuel or refining materials can rise significantly. Similarly, if global oil prices increase, the cost of petrol could remain high even with local refining. Because of these realities, some analysts believe achieving a petrol price of 350 Nigerian nairas per litre would require a combination of strong economic growth, stable exchange rates, and increased local production capacity. Nevertheless, the announcement has captured the attention of millions of Nigerians who are eager to see relief from the high cost of living. Across social media platforms, citizens began debating the promise. Some praised the president's optimism and expressed hope that the government's reforms would soon produce positive results. Others remained cautious, saying they would prefer to wait and see concrete economic improvements before celebrating. In communities across Oyo State, discussions continued long after the rice distribution exercise ended. Residents gathered in small groups to talk about the potential impact of cheaper fuel and what it could mean for their daily lives. For families struggling with rising expenses, even a small reduction in transportation and food costs could make a significant difference. While the timeline for achieving 350 Nigerian nairas fuel remains uncertain, the promise has added another important dimension to the national conversation about Nigeria's economic future. At the same time, the president's statement about petrol prices was not the only economic prediction that captured public attention. During the same discussions, another bold claim reportedly emerged, one concerning the value of Nigeria's currency against the US dollar. That statement would soon spark even more debate among citizens, economists, and political observers across the country. As discussions continued following the rice distribution across the 26 local government areas of Oyo State, another major statement reportedly made by Nigeria's president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, began to dominate national conversations. According to supporters and political figures present at the event, the president expressed confidence that the value of the Nigerian naira could improve significantly, bringing the exchange rate down to 600 Nigerian nairas per US dollar. This statement immediately caught the attention of many Nigerians because the exchange rate between the naira and the dollar has been one of the biggest economic concerns in the country. Over the past few years, the naira has experienced significant depreciation against the US dollar, causing the prices of many imported goods to increase dramatically. Nigeria relies heavily on imports for several essential products, including machinery, electronics, medicine, and some food items. Because of this, any increase in the dollar exchange rate directly affects the cost of living. When the dollar rises, the prices of goods in local markets also rise, placing greater financial pressure on ordinary citizens. For business owners, the situation has been particularly challenging. Many companies depend on imported materials to manufacture products or run their operations. When the dollar becomes expensive, businesses are forced to spend more money to import goods. As a result, many businesses increase the prices of their products in order to survive. Because of these challenges, the possibility of the dollar dropping to 600 Nigerian nairas generated immediate interest and debate among Nigerians. For many citizens, such a development would represent a major improvement in the country's economic stability. Supporters of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu believe that ongoing economic reforms could eventually strengthen the Nigerian currency. According to them, the administration is implementing policies aimed at increasing Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings and improving investor confidence in the country's economy. One of the key strategies often discussed by economic experts is increasing Nigeria's export capacity. When a country exports more goods and services to the global market, it earns foreign currency. This helps strengthen the value of the national currency and reduces pressure on the exchange rate. Nigeria's economy has historically depended heavily on crude oil exports. However, fluctuations in global oil prices have made the country vulnerable to economic instability. Because of this, many economists believe Nigeria must expand its non-oil exports, including agriculture, manufacturing, and technology services. If Nigeria can successfully increase its export revenue, the supply of foreign currency within the country could improve significantly. This would help stabilize the exchange rate and potentially strengthen the value of the naira. Another factor that could influence the exchange rate is foreign investment. When international investors bring money into Nigeria to build businesses, infrastructure, or industries, the country receives more foreign currency. This helps improve economic stability and supports the national currency. Supporters of the administration argue that economic reforms are being implemented to attract more foreign investors to Nigeria. These reforms are aimed at improving the ease of doing business, strengthening financial policies, and creating a more stable environment for international investment. However, despite these optimistic projections, some economists have advised caution. They argue that reducing the dollar exchange rate to 600 Nigerian nairas would require significant improvements in several areas of the economy. Currency values are influenced by complex global and domestic factors. These include inflation levels, trade balances, foreign reserves, government policies, and global financial trends. Because of this, exchange rates can be difficult to control in the short term. Some analysts therefore believe that achieving such a target would require consistent economic growth and long-term policy stability. They stress that strengthening local industries, increasing productivity, and improving infrastructure will be essential for building a stronger national economy. Despite the debates among experts, the president's statement has sparked hope among many Nigerians who are eager to see improvements in the country's financial situation. In markets across Oyo State, traders discussed what a stronger naira could mean for their businesses. Many said that if the dollar truly fell to 600 Nigerian nairas, the prices of imported goods could decrease, making products more affordable for customers. Electronic sellers, clothing traders, and pharmaceutical dealers were among those who expressed particular interest in the possibility of a stronger naira. These sectors rely heavily on imported goods, and a lower exchange rate could significantly reduce their operating costs. For ordinary families, a stronger naira could also mean relief from rising prices. If imported food items, household goods, and medicines become cheaper, it could help ease the financial burden many households currently face. Across social media platforms, Nigerians began sharing their opinions about the president's statement. Some people welcomed the news with optimism, saying they hoped the government's economic reforms would produce positive results in the near future. Others remained cautious, pointing out that economic promises often face challenges during implementation. Many citizens said they would prefer to see concrete improvements in the exchange rate before celebrating the prediction. Nevertheless, the combination of the rice distribution initiative, the promise of cheaper fuel, and the possibility of a stronger naira has created widespread conversation across the country. For many Nigerians, these announcements represent a vision of economic recovery and stability. Whether these expectations will become reality remains to be seen, but the discussions they have generated reflect the deep desire among citizens for policies that will improve their daily lives and strengthen the nation's economy.